Welcome to the debate. Imagine you hire a brilliant new employee, right?
Okay.
You hand them a corporate credit card.
Yeah.
You give them completely unrestricted access to your central database, and then you immediately blindfold yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's not great.
That is exactly what enterprises are doing when they deploy autonomous AI without a rigorous control layer. So in reviewing the latest architectural guidelines and market signals on enterprise AI, we're seeing this massive shift.
A huge shift.
Right, the conversation is no longer just about the raw IQ of a frontier model. The new battleground is the control layer, the enterprise nervous system that dictates exactly how that intelligence is routed, governed, and ultimately converted into action.
Because the era of treating an AI model like a theoretical brain in a jar, it's over.
Right, exactly.
We are dealing with operational autonomy now. And when an AI system can actually execute actions, spend money, alter records, communicate with clients on behalf of a company, we have to establish where the ultimate authority lies
Yes.
and how it is technically enforced.
Which brings us to the central question we are tackling today. Should boards of directors and enterprise leadership prioritize independent architectural control and strict governance over these autonomous agents, or should they prioritize maximizing individual model performance and rapid business outcomes by leaning on vendor-provided tools
Right.
to prevent systemic risk?
That's right, because look, the model is no longer the whole AI strategy. It is merely a replaceable component within a much larger, much more critical architectural framework.
Okay, well, let's get right into our positions then. From where I sit, leading an enterprise strategy, you have to look at the active participation of AI in modern workflows.
hmm
Look at the mechanics of what Meta is doing with their desktop applications, for example.
Yeah, the Mac app.
Right, the Mac application, they are moving AI out of a siloed browser tab and integrating it as this computer-level, contextual layer across all software.
Right.
So the AI has screen awareness, it can dictate, it has direct hooks into your business applications. It's a pervasive workflow participant now.
Yeah,
And because it's doing real work, leadership absolutely must measure AI by completed work.
sure.
Time saved, cost per outcome, quality of output, not just these vanity technical metrics. And I think to achieve those outcomes quickly, you have to leverage the proprietary built-in safety infrastructures from the top vendors.
Well,
Let me just take OpenAI's privacy-preserving safety, right?
okay.
We aren't just talking about a policy here. We're talking about a mechanism where the model evaluates user prompts for misuse in a secure, encrypted enclave
All right.
without ever storing the customer's data. It provides cross-session threat detection natively, replicating that level of highly sophisticated, natively built governance by trying to build your own cumbersome custom control layer internally. It's just going to severely slow your competitive cycle.
I hear you, but you are focused entirely on the engine, and you are completely ignoring the transmission, the steering wheel, and the brakes.
I wouldn't say I'm ignoring them.
Well, a 1,000 horsepower engine is useless and incredibly dangerous if you can't route that power to the wheels safely.
Right.
So I look at this strictly through the lens of long-term systemic risk. Raw model power is commoditized now. Multiple providers deliver incredibly capable models today. What actually matters is the harness.
The harness.
Yes. I point directly to NVIDIA's recent research on agent harnesses.
Oh yeah, I read that.
Yeah, they demonstrated that a model's harness, meaning the specific architecture that manages its short-term memory, how it pauses to supervise its own tool outputs, how it orchestrates multi-step logic,
Right.
all of that dramatically changes its ability to perform complex tasks.
Sure.
In their testing, an average model with a great orchestration harness actually outperformed a state-of-the-art frontier model with a poor harness.
Wait, really? It outperformed the frontier model?
Yes, absolutely, because it could manage its own context better. And this proves that autonomy fundamentally changes the risk equation. When a system is taking action, building an independent enterprise AI control architecture is a mandatory board-level technology decision. You just cannot have the AI system acting as its own ultimate authority.
Okay, but you're drawing this really hard line between a model recommending an action and a model executing an action. You're advocating for this highly centralized orchestration layer, right?
Yes.
An explicit AI authority framework that strictly limits what an agent can see, change, and execute at every single step.
Because high-impact actions require explicit, deterministic controls. You cannot rely on a probabilistic model to govern itself when it has access to your production databases.
But enforcing those boundaries through a custom centralized control layer creates this massive operational bottleneck.
How so?
Well, let me offer a comparison. Imagine you hire a Fortune 500 level executive to run a division, okay?
Okay.
They have incredible strategic vision. But on day one, you force them to clear every single minor decision, every email, every calendar invite, through a massive bureaucratic compliance committee.
That's not...
You have effectively neutralized the exact brilliance you paid for. If we lock down every API call, aren't we just neutralizing the emergent reasoning capabilities of these frontier models?
No, I mean, as AI becomes natively multimodal and capable of complex dynamic problem solving, heavy-handed architectural control forces the AI to work at the speed of your legacy IT department, rather than relying on its native capabilities.
Okay, but your executive analogy fails on a fundamental level.
Why?
Because a human executive has an inherent, biological sense of operational boundaries and resource constraints.
Okay.
An autonomous AI agent does not get tired. It does not instinctively know when a task is taking too much time or burning too much money.
Fair point. Let's talk about how an agent actually flails in the dark. If an autonomous agent encounters a logic error or a blocked API pathway, it won't necessarily stop and ask for help.
Right.
It can enter a recursive loop. It will exhaust its context window trying the same failed logic, make thousands of rapid-fire tool calls a minute, and continuously switch between expensive high-parameter models trying to resolve a completely trivial error.
Right, I've seen that happen.
Exactly. Suddenly, your token consumption and cloud compute costs skyrocket. The AI isn't doing brilliant executive work, it's burning cash autonomously. Centralized orchestration isn't a bureaucracy, it is the physical guardrail that keeps the car on the track. You need explicit, hard-coded boundaries and identity permissions and compute limits to prevent runaway execution.
Okay, but look, if you're an IT director listening to this, you're probably thinking, I barely have the budget and headcount to deploy Microsoft Copilot properly across my organization.
Right.
How on earth am I supposed to build a custom centralized orchestration architecture with hard-coded identity boundaries from scratch?
Well,
And you're describing a runaway execution scenario that assumes a total absence of human oversight.
not a total absence.
But enterprises aren't just turning agents loose in the dark. We are shifting the entire nature of the workforce. Employees are transitioning from performing manual data entry to managing digital labor.
Okay.
They are supervising these systems, validating their outputs in real time, and resolving the exact logic exceptions you just mentioned.
But
This human-in-the-loop workflow integration is a dynamic, highly realistic safety net. It is far more practical for 99% of businesses than engineering a perfect theoretical architectural constraint for every possible edge case.
you are assuming the human supervisor actually knows what the AI is doing.
Well, they're watching the outputs.
Are they? This brings up the telemetry problem, which is honestly the most terrifying aspect of decentralized autonomous agents.
Okay.
If you rely on the workforce to supervise digital labor, how are they getting their information?
From the system logs or the dashboards.
Right, but if the AI system controls its own telemetry, meaning the AI itself is generating the logs, summarizing its actions, and reporting its status to the human, that human is flying completely blind.
Wow, okay.
A large language model can effortlessly hallucinate its own compliance.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It can output a perfectly formatted report saying a workflow was completed successfully, while in the background it has quietly overwritten a critical financial database due to a tool calling error.
Right.
If the human is just reading the AI's summary, they will approve it. This is why enterprise AI governance must include independent, non-AI-based override safety layers. We need infrastructure that monitors the agent from the outside.
Okay.
We need immediate credential revocation protocols and tested emergency containment mechanisms. A human-led kill switch built into an independent infrastructure layer is the absolute minimum requirement to stop a rogue autonomous model.
Okay, I hear that, but I have to challenge the practical feasibility of this kill switch.
Why is it not feasible?
Let's look back at the reality of decentralized enterprise deployments. We are talking about AI operating at a computer level across multiple applications simultaneously.
Right.
Imagine an autonomous agent is executing a complex onboarding workflow. It is concurrently writing a record in Salesforce, generating a contract in a proprietary SQL database, and sending a welcome message in Slack.
Sure.
If your independent monitoring system flags a potential error and a human flips this magical kill switch mid-task, you don't just stop the AI. You corrupt your databases.
Well,
You break half-finished transactions, leaving orphaned records across 3 different enterprise systems. The technical reality of stopping decentralized digital labor is incredibly messy.
I know it's messy, but
It is not a light switch you can just flick off without causing massive operational damage. Managing state and multi-agent rollback is a nightmare, which is why relying on native vendor safety integrations where the models are fundamentally aligned and restricted from hallucinating destructive actions at the API level is much safer than trying to build a brute force kill switch over the top.
the database corruption you just described is exactly why the control layer must exist outside the AI, and why it must be architecturally sound from day one.
But building that, if an AI agent is introducing new identities and access pathways across your network, your external services, and your data lakes, it is massively expanding your security perimeter.
Yes.
You cannot outsource the governance of your expanded security perimeter to the vendor who sold you the model. Trust has to become an architectural capability.
Architectural trust, okay. Privacy, provenance, source quality, accountability, state management for the rollbacks you literally just mentioned.
Right.
These must be hard-coded components of your AI infrastructure. You need a centralized system that dictates that if the AI fails, the transaction rolls back cleanly, just like traditional distributed computing. You cannot just cross your fingers and hope the vendor's alignment prevents the model from making a catastrophic tool call.
Well, let's elevate this to the board level then, because that's where ultimate responsibility for these architecture decisions actually lies.
Exactly.
You are forcefully advocating for boards of directors to mandate these heavy custom infrastructure builds.
Yes. AI architecture is a board-level technology decision now, not just an IT project. Look at the market signals from organizations that process massive volume.
Like who?
Look at Ramp with their internal router, or Stripe pushing heavily into this space with their reported open router acquisition. These are massive signals that the actual intelligence routing is being pushed explicitly into the control layer.
Okay, explain that for our audience.
Sure. So for those unfamiliar, an open router fundamentally changes how AI is consumed.
Right.
Instead of an application sending every single user query directly to GPT-4 and paying top dollar, the router evaluates the prompt's complexity in a matter of milliseconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If the prompt is a simple formatting task, the control layer routes it to a cheaper, faster, open source model like Llama 3.
Right.
If it requires deep reasoning, it routes it to Claude 3.5. Boards must mandate this kind of multi-model architecture to actively manage vendor dependency. You optimize costs dynamically based on latency and risks.
Okay, but if you don't build this independent control plane, you are permanently locked into one provider's ecosystem, and you completely lose your negotiating leverage.
I get that, but I think you are vastly underestimating the cost of optionality.
Cost?
Yes, you are contrasting the theoretical long-term benefits of dynamic prompt routing against the very real, excruciatingly high upfront costs and technical debt of building a custom enterprise AI control plane.
It's an investment.
Most companies are not Stripe. They do not have thousands of elite software engineers sitting around ready to build dynamic, multi-model routing architectures that evaluate prompts in milliseconds.
True, but
When a board mandates building this massive proprietary control layer just to avoid quote-unquote vendor lock-in, they're effectively forcing the company to buy a highly expensive, incredibly complex insurance policy. It is not an insurance policy. It is a compounding strategic advantage.
it functions as a tax on innovation.
How?
While an enterprise spends 18 months and millions of dollars building this perfect vendor-agnostic routing layer with custom rollback states, their competitors are simply buying into proprietary vendor platforms.
Sure.
The competitors are integrating frontier models directly into their workflows today. They are accelerating their competitive cycle right now. Boards have a fiduciary duty to focus on measuring business impact,
Yes, they do.
increasing successful task completion, reducing operational costs, shipping products faster. Over-indexing on technical metrics and architectural optionality completely misses the point of why we are deploying AI in the first place. You don't build a custom power grid before you plug in your factory. You buy the electricity and you start manufacturing.
You're right that building a custom power grid sounds absurd, but we aren't talking about electricity. Electricity is uniform. AI models are not.
Okay, sure.
The reason control layer advantage compounds is because raw model advantage is entirely fleeting. It is becoming almost impossible for vendors to defend.
Well, they're competing heavily.
Exactly. The moment OpenAI releases a new model that redefines the frontier, Anthropic releases an update a month later that beats it, and then Google releases a Gemini update that beats them both.
Right.
Access to intelligence alone is no longer a differentiator because everyone can buy the same intelligence.
True.
But an organization with strong proprietary routing, centralized governance, and a well-defined control layer can seamlessly adopt tomorrow's better models without abandoning its architecture or rewriting all of its underlying business applications.
Okay, I see your point.
That flexible AI adoption is the ultimate long-term systemic risk mitigation. It allows you to experiment with new autonomous agents without creating a completely new security architecture for every single capability. That is how you achieve sustainable scale. You get the exponential growth of AI capabilities without your operational risk growing at the exact same exponential rate.
Look, I think we have clearly mapped the battlefield on this issue.
Yeah, definitely.
To summarize my perspective, while risk management and architectural governance are undeniably crucial, the ultimate goal of AI adoption is organizational success through rapid workflow integration.
Right.
The defining shift of this decade is moving enterprise staff from manual execution to managing and supervising digital labor. Executives must prioritize measurable business outcomes. How fast can we get this intelligence working for our customers and our bottom line? Harnessing raw model power efficiently, often by leaning heavily on the incredibly well-funded safety, privacy, and integration guardrails of the major vendors, is simply the fastest, most realistic path to value for the vast majority of companies. Organizations cannot afford to be paralyzed by architectural over-engineering in the name of theoretical optionality.
And to summarize where I stand from the architectural side, optimizing purely for immediate workflow integration at the expense of infrastructure is a dangerous short-term game. Model advantage is fleeting, but control layer advantage is the true sustainable differentiator.
Okay.
As AI systems gain genuine operational autonomy and drastically expand our security perimeters, sustainable AI scale becomes literally impossible without independent governance. The systems monitoring the AI cannot depend exclusively on the AI reporting its own behavior correctly.
Right, the telemetry problem.
Exactly. We need dynamic routing, transparent trust built mechanically into the infrastructure, and tested incident response procedures that don't corrupt databases. The winning organization of the next decade will not be the one that simply consumes the best model. It will be the one that controls the system, managing risk, cost, and permissions independently of the model providers.
I will say there is absolutely a point of convergence here. We both firmly agree that trust is the ultimate bottleneck.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's built natively by the vendor or architected independently by the enterprise, trust is the mechanism that will determine the scale at which a company can actually deploy these systems. And we both clearly see the enterprise workforce fundamentally shifting toward the supervision of this new digital labor force rather than doing the manual work themselves.
Without a doubt, the era of the model being the entirety of the AI strategy is over. The intelligence is just one piece of the puzzle now.
There is so much more to explore in this evolving landscape of enterprise infrastructure, but it brings us back to where we started. If artificial intelligence is no longer just a theoretical brain in a jar, but an active, autonomous nervous system wired directly into the very muscles of the enterprise, well, the question remains. Do you win by seeking out the smartest brain as quickly as possible, or by taking the time to build the strongest, most disciplined nervous system? We'll leave that for you to decide.